Hey, what's up, everybody out there? Welcome to Front Sight Press with Jeff and everybody's second favorite Mike. We have Mike 2.0 on the show tonight.
In the house.
Welcome to Front Sight Press. As the other Mike said last week, him and Julie, a bunch of babies screaming or something. I don't know what's going on there. Him and Julie are in Denver right now. I think they're doing some training or teaching something out in Denver. So they are not present. So we called in our backup Mike. That's not a boo for backup Mike. I think that was boo for them not being present.
Yeah.
Bad timing on the boo button. So we of course would never boo Mike. So Mike and Julie aren't here this week, so it's me and the other Mike, my cousin from another dozen. I don't know what would rhyme with that. Mike Skinny's here tonight. We're gonna check in on him and see what he's been up to since the last time we talked to him. What's going on up there in the mountains of Tennessee? We're also going to talk tonight. Oh, I don't know. Did anything exciting happen in the last week? Anything interesting in the news that maybe we want to talk about? Anything going on?
There's a couple things, yeah.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
We'll see if we can figure it out. In case this might be a little hint. We're in honor of Hatford tonight. So I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about something that's been in the news for the last week that people seem to be talking about. There's all kinds of topics that we can get into as it relates to that. I know you're already itching to go and talk about some stuff about how do holsters work, how do roofs work, how do rangefinders work, how does any of it work? So we'll figure all that out. Trying to log in on Facebook so I can see if I can read the comments in case people have any questions or statements they want to do tonight. Give me a second here to switch over. See if it lets me log in.
I saw some funny things. I saw a funny meme this week. I didn't grab it. I should have, but I didn't. Sean Hilton wants to know if he won already.
I'm sure he does.
But
yeah, the answer's probably yes.
I saw the funniest meme though, man, this week. It showed a home with a sloped ramp going up to the front door, and it says the ATF can no longer bust down his door because it would be a hindrance because of the slope of the ramp. Right. I thought that was hilarious.
There is all kinds.
I saw a video of a cow walking on a sloped roof, having no problem. But apparently, the leader of our Secret Service says that could be a workman's comp thing. They could slip off the roof and, hurt themselves. Yep. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Well, despite the fact that the other snipers at the scene were also on sloped roofs,
and it was more slanted.
Different side of the thing.
Yeah,
so we'll get into all
see
that. That's some crazy.
Some of those guys weren't Secret Service. They were the cops. They were working hard.
Right.
So, it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why. So this is weird. I'll talk to you about later, Carrie, because I'm on Front Sight Press on Facebook and it's not showing it's not showing that it's even there or posted. So weird. I went there based on your. Yeah, I just got that. That's where I got it from. Was from your link, but it doesn't make any sense why I wouldn't be able to just go right to it. And I'm gonna have that problem again where I can't see the comments. So take a look. There I am talking to myself. All right. Yeah, Sean Hilton's the only one on here right now. Do we have any other people watching? He's the only one commenting. 5. All right. Sweet. That's great. That really helps out the algorithm over there. All right. So yeah, we're gonna get nitty-gritty tonight. Go ahead.
There's a couple things on YouTube you got to be careful of. You know who Hickok 45 is?
Yeah, of course.
You ever hear him? Yeah, he's been on YouTube doing videos for probably 15, maybe even 20 years. He just got told June 18th his process of YouTube stickling the new rules to him. and he's no longer allowed to do any types of ads for firearms, firearms parts, anything like that on YouTube. And if they do it, they get their account pulled. So you might want to be careful about our supreme sponsor, whose name I won't say,
you
but
jumped the
I don't want to see him ding your YouTube because you just got your 1,000 likes not too long ago. So, I don't know how we get around all that stuff, but you take a guy like Hickok 45, been doing it at least 15 years that I know of
Yeah.
on YouTube. And now they're going in and dinging all his videos prior to June 18th. And any of them after June 18th, they're going to threaten with pulling his channel down. 15
Well,
years.
Well, so you're saying that it's because they're like he has advertised, like for example, 5 minutes into the
Yeah,
video,
like
it'll be like,
he
this
says,
episode
I
thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Glock
yes,
or whatever it is,
yes,
and then so if anybody sponsors your episode that's a firearm manufacturer, they won't allow it.
Yep, that's what he's saying because he always says he picks up. How do I say it? He picks up this tool from this business who happens to be right around the corner from me, Buds. I'm not going to say the full name because I don't want
Buds.
you to get dinged.
Now we're not advertising.
But he always gets his stuff to test from that establishment, and every video he talks about, I picked it up from so and so, and that's an ad, and it hits in two folds. It hits him where, well, YouTube's not paying him. So I don't know if YouTube's getting upset because they're doing ads on top of their ads already, because YouTube throws in their own ads to give you ad revenue for YouTube. But now a lot of these YouTubers are actually saying, hey, thanks to this person, or I just ate Factor meals, and Factor meals are awesome. Seeing YouTube gets none of that money. So I almost wonder if it's a double-edged sword, if they're just going after the gun people or if they're going after everybody for doing extra ads on their platform.
Right. Well, they have internal sponsors. They do the ad reads. I mean, they all do that. Like Ben Shapiro does ad reads like every freaking 5 minutes during his stream. Crowder, all those guys do them. And I know Shapiro, like right now, Shapiro has a gun sub-sponsor. I think it might be Daniel Defense or somebody is one of his ad reads right now. And I know Crowder for a long time had ad reads for various firearm things. I mean, they kicked him off all the time for other stuff, but I mean, that's got to be interesting. If it's just firearm stuff, that would certainly be weird. If it's every ad read, like you say, they're basically saying, look, you can't have internal sponsors for your videos. Like that's everybody. Like every movie review channel I watch has an internal sponsor. Every men's clothing thing has an internal sponsor. If I YouTube how to cook meals and stuff all the time, they have internal sponsors. So yeah, if they come up with an internal like ad read sponsor ban, that's going to be a problem for a lot of YouTubers. If it's only guns, like I don't know how they get away with that. I guess it's it's like a private platform. They can pick whatever they want to get away with. But I'm not going to worry about that here. We're still going to do our sponsors. If they want to ding me or try and take me down, then I'll deal with it when the time comes. So F them, our King sponsor. I'd like to thank him. Johnny Custom Glocks, as always, because Glocks are too long to have a short trigger. Wait, that's not right. Anyway, something like that. Get yourself a Johnny Custom Glock trigger, JohnnyGlocks.com. He has a YouTube channel. It's like the persona Johnny Glock, I think, or whatever it is, because he was getting not in trouble, but I think when he was originally did Johnny Glock, it was already taken or something. But anyway, go check out his YouTube channel. Go follow him on Facebook. Go see his shop. I went out there a couple weeks ago because I had to get a new trigger on one of my Glocks. He has a fancy freaking setup out there, man. It's nice. It's top notch. That guy's doing orders out the yin yang, so it's good stuff. Get yourself a Johnny Glock custom trigger because life is too short to have a trigger that sucks.
I've got him. Absolutely love him. I've been in on day one.
Everybody's got to have them. And then special shout out to Sean Hilton over at Smoke Show 3D. I don't think we have any music for him yet, do we? We tried out some stuff last time.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. SmokeShow3D.com. Get yourself some of these Glock armor blocks. all kinds of other stuff on there. They can custom write names on there, do all kinds of things. You get different colors. We'll be giving one out today, as always, at the end of the show. Make sure you put in FSP10 for a 10% discount over at Smoke Show 3D. So if YouTube doesn't like them being our sponsors, tough shit. We'll figure that out down the road. I like them being our sponsors. They're great people, great friends of the show. So until somebody tells us otherwise, go see Johnny Custom Glock and Smoke Show 3D for all your Glock badassery. All right. Toast. We got to get the toast out of the way. So everybody get your drinking beverages. I'm going to do the toast tonight. I've got the perfect toast, I think. As many of you know, many of you may or may not know, but Mike and I have known each other for a long time. We grew up together down in South Venice back in the day, went to high school, played on baseball teams, bowling teams, all that
T-ball.
kind of stuff. And our last name is the same, obviously, Young. However, we are not related. But everybody growing up thought that we were, so we just started telling everybody that we were cousins. So that's why I call him Cuz. He calls me Cuz. But we're really just lifelong friends from back in the elementary school days. So everybody get your glass. I'm going to do our toast. There are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and may they always be.
Hey, here.
I thought that was apropos. So yeah, a lot of people don't know our history. And Mike is the one who actually got me into guns because he had his shop, of course, back in the day. And I never owned a firearm in my life. And I was a lawyer just doing, divorces and standard criminal stuff, as it were. And then I started going to his shop. And he's the one that said, hey, there aren't any gun lawyers around here. Nobody knows how to do gun law. You might want to look into that. And then I hit the books, took all the classes, and did all the research. And next thing you know, I'm the Minnesota gun lawyer, and I do mostly gun stuff these days. It kind of worked out that way. Bought my first ever gun at Mike's, one of many. Took all my training, got my CCW from Mike. And the funny thing is, I actually took the FBI training course with Mike because you guys taught that one time. I don't know if that's the same as Secret Service. It probably is pretty similar. And I'm 100% certain that we did holster retention during that training, because I recall getting yelled at because I was putting my gun back in my holster wrong, and I had to get that corrected. So I know for a fact that the federal government in their training teaches people how to put their guns back in their holster. So got a confusing thing about that. But before we get into all that stuff, tell everybody what you got going on in the mountains. How are things going with the shop? What's going on? What's new? Where can they find all your stuff?
Man, I've been just sewing my fingers to the bones. Man, I got a big craft show type deal. It's a mountain festival going on, not this weekend, but next weekend over here in Pittman Center, which is still Sevierville. They call it their own town, but it's still Sevierville. And I'm excited about it, but I wanted to have 60 wallets made. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to have enough time. But it's crazy, man. Crazy. I've also been throwing in a couple of other things like keychains and a couple of journal books. But I just been working on these wallets like every day. And a lot of them are hand sewing, even though I got this bad to the bone sewing machine over here. A lot of them sewn, the little ones can be machine sewn, but the bigger ones need to be hand sewn because it's just intricate the way you got to sew them. So it's hard to sew real little things on a machine. So, but yeah, I got the Glowforge, and it cuts them out and puts cool things on them, and then I got to hand stain them and all that fun stuff. But I found a really cool pattern that I tweaked a little bit myself. And it's these long wallets that I really like. I made this one for the state of Tennessee. It's the actual state of Tennessee cut out, and then I sewed it on. But it has the TriStar logo. That's the three cities that were the capital of Tennessee. I believe it's Memphis, Knoxville, and now. So that's TriStar State. And then you open it up, and it's a wallet or a trucker wallet, and it'll even hold your cell phone and a smartphone if you want, or you just have two things for cash or receipts or whatever. And then you got room for 6 cards, but they'll hold at least 2 each. So you got room for 12 cards. It snaps shut, and I'm going to put a grommet in it and hang a paracord chain off of it. I like the paracord chains rather the hard chains because, man, if you brush up against your car or something, you're going to scratch your paint with a regular chain. So I just do it with the paracord. Here's a journal book I made. I'm really getting into the marbling of leather. You use shaving cream and you got to dip it and swirl it around and then put it in there and let it sit. And it does a lot of cool little like marbling colors. Obviously, this one would be for a lady. I mean, if not, I mean, I ain't judging. You know, I got other ones that aren't flowery like this. But it's pretty cool, man. I'm just making wallets. And I got your order on deck, and I got another order on deck. Hopefully after the show, I'll be able to get on them real quick. But that's going to be kind of like your order, except obviously it's going to hold your iPad, which is kind of cool. But, this is what I call my rivet wallet. And I got another one coming out that you use old baseball gloves. So if anybody has any baseball gloves, message me over on Forever Young Ranch at Facebook. And I'll pay the shipping if you want to get rid of them. I mean, I gave a ton of them to Goodwill when I left, thinking I wasn't going to need them. And I have mine from when I was younger in high school and everything. And those have great memories to it. And I don't want to pull it apart. And I'm sure, those listening might have that too. But if you have any gloves that you're not using, I sure could use them. And you could donate them to me. I'll pay to have them shipped up here. But, that's pretty much what I'm doing, man. Just working my bones to the crafting industry right now. Yeah. I did have a barbecue. I did a barbecue catering for 250 women 2 weeks ago. Nice. And that was hard. But I did it and got her done. And I got another one coming up in August for 500 people.
Holy shit.
So I'm still doing the barbecue and stuff. Yeah. Thank God I only have to do the protein on that one, where I'm just doing pulled pork, but it's going to fill my whole smoker up. Yeah. But this last one was I did pulled pork, mashed potatoes, portobello green beans, and a caprese salad for 250 women. And it went over well. We had leftovers, and then they announced leftovers, and the women came out and all took it home to their men, which was pretty cool. So that was a good thing. But that's all I've been doing up here, man. Living the #retired life.
Yeah.
I guess.
Good place to do it. Let me ask you this. Is it 110 degrees up there?
Yesterday I got in my truck and the thermometer in my vehicle, which I don't really know how that works, but it said 106. It does get hot. But it's not Florida hot. We don't have half the humidity. I mean, we have half the humidity. The humidity was like 80, whereas you guys are in the hundreds with 98% humidity, and the humidity is what kills. Yeah. I go out in this and it's like, woo, it's hot. But if that was Florida and it was 98% humidity, I'd be like, oh, I can't take it.
Yeah.
So
it's like living in a dog's mouth.
It does get hot up here, but it doesn't get sticky like it does down there.
Yeah. Cool.
So
cool. I'm glad you're doing good, as always.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
So you ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's just start off. What are your thoughts, man? Were you watching it live? Did you hear about it later? Did you get a text message? What's your
I was not watching it live. It's really weird. I was upstairs making wallets and doing what I do, and I started to look at Rumble, because I watch Rumble while I'm making wallets up here. Bongino, all the guys that are on Rumble, I watch them. And they were on live, and I'm like, what the heck? And the thing said, President Trump shot. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I ran downstairs, and we don't have satellite or cable anymore. We got rid of that. We've kind of cut the cord, but we still have the internet. So got YouTube TV and put it on Fox News, and I'm watching, and I'm like, holy cow, you know. And it's the Lord's provision, man. That's the only explanation you could say of it. For him to move his head like that, and for those bullets to whiz by him like they did, and it was unbelievable. It just wasn't his day to die. We all have a day, and that day wasn't his. So it was really, really wild. And then just to see him get up and fist pump, oh, I mean, it reminded me of Reagan when he got shot. We were just kids. But then you look into the history when you get older and you see it, and when shot is pretty wild. They rushed him into the limo. And when Reagan got shot, they had a wheelchair for him to go into the hospital. And Reagan said, "No, I'm walking in." And he walked into the hospital with a bullet in his lung. So for Trump to stand up, yeah, he got shot in the ear. I get it, but he still got that. I mean, I'd be freaking out if I just had one whiz by my head and heard it, But for him to get up and just go fight, 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 that was awesome. That was pretty awesome to see that, surprising.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a situation for sure. I think I was just watching regular YouTube. Like I have YouTube TVs like you do. I cut the cord a long time ago. I got YouTube TV, but I actually don't watch too much live TV anymore. Most of the things I watch are either on streaming networks, or I actually watch a lot of YouTube. I spend a lot of my time actually watching YouTube channels more than anything else, live streams, podcasts, things of that nature. So yeah, I was watching something else, probably about motorcycles or whatever, just dicking around through Facebook as I do from time to time. And then people started saying about, shots fired. Because at first it wasn't like Trump was shot or an assassination. It was just more like shots fired. And then you go to some news channels and it was just all like shots fired. So, at first I was like, well, it could have been two drunk guys trying to getting in a fight with each other and somebody shot someone. Like, you don't know if it's what it is because it was just shots fired. And then obviously later on it became more clear of what was going on. Yeah. And then you start seeing all the photos and stuff like that. So it's certainly it's just it's an odd thing, I guess, in the sense of all the mistakes. I mean, we can go through all those, but certainly all the weird mistakes. Well, the one thing I thought was funny. So about an hour and a half to 2 hours into it, where some of the facts were starting to come out. As you know, my wife was a Democrat. Despite that, obviously, I loved her with every soul in my being.
Of course, she was a hell of a lady.
She was a Democrat. She had friends who were Democrats. We have mutual friends. So I have both conservative friends on my Facebook and I have liberal friends on my Facebook.
Right.
What was funny to me was, like 2 hours into it, all my conservative friends are like, "Oh, Joe Biden tried to take him out. Hillary Clinton's trying to take them out. Conspiracy. Deep state's trying to take out Trump." All my liberal friends were, "This is staged. This is Trump faking all this to try and get votes." So what was almost more concerning to me, I mean, obviously I'm glad Trump is alive and everything else. And obviously the one guy died, which is awful. But what I found more scary was that 2 hours after it, you could already see the divide getting deeper, or just people were just automatically picking sides. There was no, "Oh my God, let's wait till the facts," or "I'm glad nobody's hurt." It was immediately conspiracy on the right, conspiracy on the left. And it's the same. And here we are, 5 days into it now, or 6 days into it, and it's still the same thing. You have all the left-wing pundits talking about he doesn't need to have that bandage. Does he have that bandage? There's like memes of him not having a bandage the day he's golfing and saying, "See, it's fake." And then other people are saying when he was golfing, he said, "See, unlike the shooter, I never miss," which is not true. He didn't say that. So it's like, here we are 6 days into it, and it's like the meme war is still going. And despite everybody claiming, "Oh, we need to unite. This is going to be a uniting moment." Like within hours to now, a week later, it's still everybody's on their everybody pick their side, and they're just all pointing the fingers at each other again, and nothing's going to change.
Here's the most important evaluation of what you just said. Thank God he didn't die. Imagine
Yeah.
what would have happened if he was dead.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's something to think about.
Yeah, because if he hadn't moved, it would have been elevated that much more. And I think this country would probably be unrecognizable right now in 5 days. You know, and
Yeah.
thank God he didn't die. You may not like him, you may like him. You know, I get it. I have the same thing, man. I have family that's on the one side and I have family that's on another side. And I love them all just the same, you know, and we just usually don't talk politics, you know, and
Right.
that's good because
I went
that
through
doesn't need
15
to
years of
come in
marriage without
between.
talking politics, believe it or not.
Exactly. And that doesn't need to be, that doesn't need to come up. There's too much other
Right.
love and relationship things and stuff like that that come up where politics don't need to be at the dinner table between two people driving a wedge, because that's our country, man, and
Right.
it doesn't need to be like that, you know. It's I just thank God he didn't die, you know, and I would feel the exact same way if it was Joe Biden that got shot in the head. I
Sure.
would feel the exact same way, you know,
Sure.
and it's just it's just crazy how fast we are to jump on the bandwagon. That's why, you know, I mentioned him earlier. I like watching Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a conservative and this and that, but he has this thing called the Bongino rule that you don't talk, post anything controversial for at least 48 hours after the
Right.
act, because by then you're going to find out pretty much what happened.
Right.
And you've had time to think and you've had time to cool down. And I just think that's sound advice. I really do, you know,
I agree.
you know, I may have posted on Facebook. I didn't post anything. I said the Secret Service people are heroes, because when the actual agents that jumped up on that stage and wrapped their bodies around that person willing to take a bullet for them, they're heroes. You know, that has nothing to do with the leadership that didn't have the right stuff out there for the heroes to not have to do that.
Right.
But they did it, you know, and they're there putting their lives in harm's way. You know, I mean, they're heroes. I mean, they're like a policeman, a fireman, our military. I mean, they're willing to take a bullet for a person. You know, I mean, that's you know, that's biblical, to lay down one's
Right.
lives for another. You know, and that's just pretty darn cool. You know, I've seen some horrible things said about the Secret Service, whereas I think it's the leadership that made a mistake. They should own up to it, you know, and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, he has a stripped down detail. He has since he left the White House. You know, former presidents don't get the same thing the sitting president gets, and I get that. I do. But when they're going to be doing public speaking, and especially when he's the front runner to run for the next president, they should have a little bit better people there. Because if that was a Joe Biden event, that doesn't happen. Because they got drones, they got helicopters, they got all sorts of things in the air to where, you know, you can't get on top of a roof within a mile of that place, you know, and you know, you can Monday morning quarterback it all you want the day after, the week after, 5 days after. But I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't have the right person doing the site study and being in charge. They just didn't have the right person doing it. And
Right.
it sucks. It sucks
Well,
that we have to have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because, I mean, you're right about the scaled downness. There's a couple different things. Number one, they get scaled down, and there is a ranking priority. You know, you got the current president gets the highest, and vice president or whatever. And I guess they were all having events that day, so maybe they were they were short staffed or whatever. But there's a couple issues I have with that concept. Is number one, if that's the case, then somebody just needs to make a call and cancel something. Like they need to tell Jill Biden, hey, you're not going to teach or give a speech at the high school today because we need enough people to be over here. Or even if they told Trump, look, you're going to have to switch to an indoor venue or something. Like you got to have people in the top management who can assess it and be like, look, we're short staffed, so somebody's just going to have to fuck off and do something else today because we don't have enough people. The other thing is that the problems that have arisen here, to me, don't involve short staff. Because when you look at what we know so far, like you said, a $40 drone would have solved this problem. That's not about being short staffed. It's a $40 freaking drone. You had people who saw the guy up there and reported it to law enforcement who tried. One guy, I guess, went up there to try to stop them and he pointed a gun at him or whatever, but there was no communication between law enforcement and the Secret Service. So everybody saw what they needed to see, but they couldn't relay it to the right people. That's not a staffing problem. That's obviously who's ever in charge isn't doing the logistics right.
Right.
Making the decision of, well, we're not going to put a shooter on that roof because the roof is sloped, but yet we have shooters on other sloped roofs. Now, if you're short a shooter, then just come out and say, look, we didn't have enough sharpshooters, so we had to decide which roof we were going to put them on, and we thought this roof over here was more important to put them on because they can have a better advantage of it or whatever, and we decided to secure that building other means. Great. I'll take that explanation. It's still a crap explanation that needs to be investigated, but it makes more sense than saying, well, the roof was sloped, so we couldn't put a person up there. So again, that to me doesn't sound like a stripped down person problem. And if you don't have enough Secret Service snipers, call the freaking sheriff department, call the police department, call the FHP. I'm sure there's plenty of cops out there that would volunteer to work something like that without having to pay or charge overtime or whatever. I mean, there's ways to get around staffing shortages. So I don't know what the breakdown was here. I don't think the breakdown was necessarily all the way at the top. Like the woman who runs it should probably resign just on principle, because I think that's what happens when your department just has such a colossal screw up. But obviously she's not doing day-to-day stuff because that's not her job. The agents on the ground, they probably, I'm going to assume, did the best with the knowledge that they had, but we also don't know that because maybe they were in the wrong spot. Maybe somebody was supposed to cure that didn't. Maybe somebody was supposed to coordinate with local PD and they weren't on the freaking radio because they were taking a piss or something. I mean, I don't know all the specifics about that. So I don't know what to make of this, quite frankly, at this particular point. I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I don't believe this is a deep state conspiracy with all these memes. Like, look, there's a ladder here. How do you get a ladder in? You can't get a ladder in. Why is he on the roof? Or what is it? Like, I'm not buying that. It wasn't staged. It wasn't a conspiracy. It was a bureaucratic mess up by a large federal government agency. Who would have thunk that something like that could possibly happen when you put bureaucrats in charge of your security? I mean, that's mistakes like that are going to happen. Mistakes like that are going to happen. And just be lucky he missed.
Yeah, very lucky he missed, you know. And it's definitely a wake-up call, and thank God, President Trump, but it did cost a human life, you know, and I think it was a senator or a representative's kid took a shot across the throat. It like skinned his throat. You know, there were more injuries, you know, than just the one guy that died and Trump being shot. But yeah. And good on them for eliminating the threat as fast as they could, you know, when they did. I mean, who knows what would have happened if they would have had a shootout? How many more innocent people would have gotten hit, you know, if the dude just started spraying the crowd, you know? But the weird thing is we probably will never find it out either. We don't know hardly anything about the Las Vegas shooter, you know, other than that he had bump stocks, even though those shots didn't sound like bump stock shots. But we're never going to hear about it. You know, we don't have video of him walking through the hotel, bringing all that stuff in. When you're on a camera, as soon as you leave the airport in Vegas, you're on a camera. Every taxi cab has a camera in it. Every hotel lobby has cameras in it. you have to go through the casinos to get to your rooms because they want you to stop and gamble. There's no way to get to your room without walking through a casino in Vegas. There's no video of him walking through with all this ton of crap that he came in with. Now, I'm
Right.
not going to go into conspiracy theories on it, but we never heard anything more about it. We haven't heard anything more about Epstein's list. We haven't heard anything more about Kennedy's assassination. We haven't heard anything more about any of the other things. Yeah, they're going to investigate it, but they're never going to tell us exactly what happened. And that's the way it's been since Kennedy was murdered, assassinated, whatever you want to call it. So I mean, it's great that they're investigating it. Thank you. But are you going to release files? Are you going to let us know what's going on? I'm not going to hold my breath to find out. I'm really not. I'm thankful that Trump didn't get killed. I'm sorry for the man that did, and hopefully they learn from it and move on. That's all I can think of. I mean, it's just crazy to think about, man. It sickens me to see the people that are like, the extreme on the other side saying, too bad he missed and blah, 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 this, that, and everything. What if that was your dad? What if the guy that got shot in the head was your dad or your mom or your kid? You wouldn't be feeling that way, and these are people's lives that were touched that day. And now you're all over social media wishing he would have gotten killed and missed that and other thing. It's like, really? Are things that bad? We went through 8 years of Obama, love him or hate him. We never tried. Nothing was ever tried on Obama. Nothing was ever tried on Trump.
Yeah, but my dad would never be at a Klan rally. My dad would never be at a Hitler rally. My dad would never be there to get shot because he wouldn't go to a fascist, Hitlerist, racist rally with a bunch of other Klansmen. So your position is invalid, sir.
Your point is moot.
Well, obviously there's always going to be the sickos on each side. And look, like I'll always say, the only person really to blame is the shooter. When these situations happen, you don't blame the gun, you don't blame the media or social media. There's one guy that should get all the blame for it. That being said, it can't go without saying that if you spend 6 years calling a guy Hitler, and he's going to end democracy, and he's going to lock up all the journalists, and he's going to make all the women handsmaid tale, it's probably not a far stretch to think that the crazy guy that's responsible here, somebody might say, oh, well, if that's Hitler, somebody should kill him before he does it again, because we would all kill Hitler if we had a time machine and we could go back and kill Hitler as an adult. Everybody would do it. So if you honestly think this man is Hitler, then you have a moral obligation to stop him. So who would have thunk that if you spent 6 years telling people that one person out of 320 million might take it to heart and do something about it? Like it's a logical conclusion to what has been going on for the last 6 years, in my opinion. And all this stuff about dialing it down, okay, fine, dial down the political rhetoric. It's not going to happen. They're already out there ratcheting up again. Like, it's never going to happen. So people just need to accept that, unfortunately, and this is why I posted my only comment on the situation, which is always my comment, just buy more ammo. Like, in my opinion, the clock has run out on all that shit. Like, there's no going back. Like, we're only going to keep going in this direction from now on. Like, it's not going back. It's not. Like, you're not putting this back in. You're never going to get to, an 80% cohesion of the country anymore. It's a 50-50 split. It's only going to get wider. The blue states are going to get bluer. The red states are going to get redder. Every election is going to be the most important election in the history of all elections, and it's just going to get worse. So platitudes or smatitudes, it's like, we're in it. We're in it.
You remember the best date in my history of being alive? The best date was September 12th, 2001.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ruth Chris or, sunset at the beach or something.
Nah, September 12th, 2001, man. That was the day to be an American. You
Of
know,
course.
I mean, we were all together on the same page, and it's a damn shame that it would take another one of those to try to bring us back together again. And
It
I
wouldn't
don't
though.
think it would.
No, if
You're
9/11
right.
happened today, you would have AOC and all her jackasses talking about how it was America's fault. I mean, we had people saying that back then, but it was a super, super small majority. Now I think you'd have
Right.
half the senators saying, number one, it's our fault, and number two, you can't bomb those poor homeless people in Afghanistan. You'd have queers for Taliban rallies out in the street. Like it would be ridiculous. Like if that ever happened today, you wouldn't see anywhere near the cohesiveness that you did back then. You would automatically have conspiracies. You had them back then, and you still have them now, especially when it comes to 9/11. But you would see that same
Yeah.
divide. Half the internet would be like, "Oh, this is just Trump doing it so that he can get more," or Biden is doing it because he needed to get the fact that he is retarded out of the newspaper and tell people that stop replacing them. So he set up this false flag event. Like it would be insane how bad it would be if we were attacked like that. A full scale invasion, maybe everybody bands together, but you still have the soy boys that are like, well, maybe we should understand, why the Russians are here or why the Mexicans are here or whatever. I mean, it would just be. I don't think it would. I don't think it would. I think if we had another 9/11, I think you would still have 50% of the country saying, let's go do something about it, and the other 50 would be saying, well, it's our fault, so we should be apologizing to the people who attacked us. I just think that's what would happen. Call me a pessimist, but that's unfortunately where I think we are.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. From a training standpoint, what do you think? We'll do this for the next 5 minutes and then we'll do the drawings. What do you think about all the heat that they're getting for the Secret Service for like having all the short women on the detail? The one lady couldn't put the gun back into her holster, like from a gun trainer and everything else. Like I said, I know you taught the FBI class and stuff. Like, what do you think about all that criticism?
As far as the short lady being on the detail, that chick is a rock star. The one that's short. Unfortunately, she is short, so you could have gotten over top of her to him, but she threw her body on him, and she did the job, and to the best of her ability. And I think she's been with Trump since day one. That one.
Right.
Now the one putting her holster back in, I got mixed feelings about that.
Me too.
The mixed feelings I have about that is how many people out there are pulling from their holster and reholstering every day.
Right.
And I really want to know how many law enforcement or people that carry guns for a living are practicing that every day. Because when you're wearing a coat or even us with shirts over top of our gun, how many people are practicing even that once a week? Okay, I pull out my gun and I dry fire the heck out of it, and I'll go in the bathroom because that's where the bigger mirror is, and I'll usually pull from the holster because there's a guy in the mirror pulling a gun on me, so you'll never beat him. You may tie him, but you'll never beat him. But it gets you on there. But I struggle trying to get that gun back, and it's unloaded, mind you. When I'm dry firing, it's unloaded. And I'm trying to find that holster and get it back in there with my shirt out of the way so the shirt doesn't get in the trigger guard. Okay? That's not easy to do. Now, should she go home and do this 20 minutes a day? Yeah, she got caught on national TV struggling with what we all struggle with all the time. Now, if you're a uniform officer, you got a holster on the outside. That's not hard to holster that gun without a garment over it, a jacket, a shirt, whatever. That's easy. But that's not where she was at. Yes, her gun was on the outside, but there was a jacket in the way. Plus, she's wearing a bulletproof vest. Okay? It's not that easy. Should she practice more? Yes, she should. We all should. We're all guilty of that. We weren't caught on national TV doing it, but I can guarantee you everybody that's watching this right now has struggled in the past. And you mentioned it earlier. We were afraid you're going to shoot your manhood off. Okay?
Yeah. You do remember,
that's
right?
Why we had,
appendix,
that's why we had you pull your holster out. and put it back in and then put the holster in because
Yeah.
you were appendix carrying right up front. Okay.
Right.
We don't practice putting guns back in holsters. We practice pulling them out and engaging
Right.
our target and defending ourselves. We don't practice putting them back. Okay.
Right.
And in that fact, when we do practice putting them back, it's not that important because you're probably going to put the gun on the ground when the cops show up and put your hands up and say, hey, I was in fear for my life. I shot to stop. When he stopped, I stopped. You know,
Right.
and that's all you're going to say. You don't practice putting it back because the cops don't want you to have the gun on you when they get there. Okay?
Right.
Us regular get or done concealed carry people, you know, I saw that. I saw a lot of people saying, well, she can't even reholster, blah, 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 blah. I've seen dudes have a hard time. I've seen Secret Service dudes have a hard time. But I'll tell you one thing. This kind of got to me a little bit if you can't tell. I'll tell you one thing. She couldn't get it back in the holster. Finger was never on the trigger. I watched, right? She was struggling to put it back. What did she do? She did the exact thing she was supposed to do. She took it, put it down in front of her body like this until the situation had relieved itself, and then she was able to find it and put it back. Okay? You can't do that without looking at it. And all that stuff was going. They were moving the president. They were getting ready to move the motorcade and everything. All that stuff's going on. You have to have that in your head. Okay? We're not okay corralling it. We're not cowboys. We're not used to reholstering our gun. Okay? And as much as you think the Secret Service practices, ask your buddies at law enforcement how many times they practice. And I'd say about 75% of them practice a little bit before they have to requalify, and that's the only time the gun comes out of the holster. Okay? Now, we have a lot of great law enforcement. We have a lot of great law enforcement that know how to shoot safely, securely, and good. Okay? But they don't practice putting it back in the holster, pulling it out, putting it back in every day like that. And if they do, they're in uniform. It's on the outside. It's a lot easier. But you get that shirt caught. I have a good friend of mine. He's a customer. I won't say his name. He was trying to reholster his gun in the car, shot through his foot in the car because the shirt got in his trigger guard. And instead of saying, oh, crap, I can't do this right now, he forced it in. The gun went off and went through his foot. The bullet went through his foot. Okay? It happens. It happens. Did it look bad on national TV? Of course it did. But not everybody's John Wick. You know, That's Hollywood. That's not every day. That's not everyday stuff. You know, and I don't see it with a garment involved inside the waistband or even with a jacket and all that stuff over top of you during a stressful situation. Fine motor skills go out the window, and reholstering a gun is definitely a fine motor skill. So I give her a pass, man. I do. You know, I'm probably in the minority of this, but that's where I stand. I mean, I just renewed my certificate, so I've been teaching for over 15 years now, and that is something that everybody I've taught has struggled putting their gun back in the holster. And if you're not practicing, you're not going to do it.
No, I'm with you, man. I give her a pass too. I was having this conversation last night at dinner with a family member who was like, "Oh, I couldn't believe this woman," and I basically said the same thing. I'm like, "Look, you don't usually. That's not a large part of your training because it's not as important putting your gun away as it is pulling it out, as you said. It was inside her coat. People are bumping her. She's got to keep her eyes up, looking around what's going on. So it's not as easy to look down and see where your holster goes. It's not that easy of a thing to do anyway because it does have to specifically go in there correctly. You're worried about your finger on the trigger and everything else, and with the adrenaline on top of it, just a normal human being. I mean, yeah, I don't falter for that at all because I think you could even have somebody with lots of training that would do that in the moment, because I guarantee you this is the first time she's ever been in that moment because nobody ever shoots at the president. It hasn't happened since 1986. So if I had to guess, this is the first presidential assassination attempt that she's been a part of. And so certainly all the training things kick in. Where do I look? Where do I stand? Where's the motorcade going to go? Like with all these things going in your head, that's probably the least important thing for you to do. And I agree. Once she tried it a couple different times, she was like, well, fuck it. I'll just hold it here. point it down, finger off the trigger, looking around, making sure everything's secure. So I don't really fault it. I don't fault it at all. I do fault his detail makeup because, yes, you're right. Even the short women did their job and went up there and threw their body on him. But if they're only going to protect him from getting shot in the legs, then I don't understand what, quite frankly, the point is. I mean, at some point, you have to be logical about how you're doing it. You can't have 80-pound fire women because they're never going to be able to drag our big asses out of a burning building. You can't have 80-pound Navy SEALs because they're not going to be able to drag people who have gunshot wounds off the battlefield when they need to. And you can't have 4-foot tall, 80-pound women guarding a 6'7", like 280-pound man or whatever he is. Like it just doesn't make any logical sense. That's nothing knocking women. They're, I'm sure they're great shots. They obviously love their job. Put them somewhere else on the detail. I'm not saying don't hire any women, but when you're assessing the jobs you're going to give out, you got to take that stuff into account. If your president is 5 foot, give him a 5 foot detail. If your president's 6'7", he needs to have a 6'7" detail. Like rappers aren't walking around with guys that are smaller than them. All their fucking bodyguards are twice the size because that's the whole point of having a bodyguard. I mean, even if people bum rush him, let's say a crowd breaks down a barrier and they all bum rush him. Like she's not going to be able to hold off anybody from being able to get to Trump on a physical stance because she's just too small. And, I don't care what Hollywood says, like you said about women, all these Hollywood movies have these like 5 foot tall Scarlett Johansson's going around beating up 7 or 8 guys at a time. Like that shit's not realistic. They're going to get their ass kicked. And so from a logistical standpoint, these were bad placements in my mind of the people. So that goes back to all the decisions we were making. Why don't they have a drone? Why don't they have the taller people on the stage? Why don't they have better communication with the law enforcement on the outside? Why don't they hire extra detail? I mean, why don't they tell Jill Biden she can go do something else that day? Like there were all kinds of mistakes up and down the dial. And fortunately for the president, specifically, all of those mistakes didn't cost his life. Unfortunately for the married father of girls who, I'm a married father with nothing but girls. He lost his life because somebody was lazy and just didn't want to do their job. And that's unfortunate. I mean, obviously I blame the shooter. Like I said, you always got to blame the shooter first, but damn, there are ways to prevent that kind of stuff from happening. And when you don't do your job correctly, unfortunately, bad things happen. So unfortunately, it is what it is. Oh, the skinny get frozen? That's right. That's right. We're gonna end the show anyway. Nobody's watching. Apparently, we had Facebook trouble tonight. If people watch this back on recorded,
yeah.
Oh, there he is. You were frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, we're back.
So, yeah, I don't know what was going on. Facebook stream. I'm looking at Facebook and it's fine, but everybody's commenting that they can't watch it. Like nobody's watching on Facebook. We have some YouTube people watching, so we're gonna skip the giveaways for tonight. We don't want to spin the wheel because Sean Hilton's gonna be the only person, if I had to guess, who's gonna be on that wheel because nobody else was able to like, comment, and share. So we're not gonna do a drawing this week. Everybody who did this week will roll over to next week and put them on the wheel. Mike and Julie should be back next week, I think, but I'm not certain. Carrie, is conspiracy next week or the week after? I don't know either. So, right. Yeah, the episode will be up on Musings with MGL. So go to YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. So that way, if Facebook does go down, you go watch it on YouTube. We do have some people watching on YouTube tonight, so that's great. So like, share, and subscribe on Musings with MGL. I appreciate that. The numbers are slowly going up, but they are going up. So keep sharing that out there. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank our King sponsor. Got it. I beat her. Johnny Custom Glock, as always, go check him out as well. Johnny Custom Glock, King sponsor. Also, Smoke Show 3D, Sean Hilton over there.
Yeah, baby.
There you go. Make sure you get that. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. I did a bunch of cool videos this week. I did one on Alec Baldwin's charges getting dismissed. That was exciting. I did one about the GOP not caring about gun rights anymore. I did one on the. I don't think I did on the Trump shooting. I did one on the Supreme Court saying that domestic violence injunction people still can't have guns. So I did a whole bunch of cool hot topic videos this week. So please go like and subscribe. Check those out. Mike, where can they go find your stuff at?
Right now, it's Forever Young Ranch on Instagram or Facebook. Hopefully, I'll have a website up sometime. I gotta streamline all my websites. I got too many stuff, man. It's costing me like 500 bucks a year. I still have younggunshop.com. I have knuckleheadspit.com, safetyfirearms.net. I still have all these things that I'm paying for that I need to just streamline it and get rid of it.
Sounds like a plan. All right,
Yeah.
go to Forever Young Ranch on Facebook. It's up there right now. I know you keep having all these weird problems with Facebook, so hopefully it stays up there for now. So go on there, get all your leather goods. They're really great stuff. I got my stuff coming soon, so it's going to be great. So thanks for watching. Next week is either conspiracy or not. I'm going to suggest that when we do this conspiracy show this week, perhaps we should do the Kennedy assassination because that seems a little bit topical. And then in 10 years, somebody can do an episode on Trump conspiracies because they're going to be out there. So thanks for watching. See y'all next week. Front Sight Press, first Thursday or every Thursday of the month, 8-ish. Thanks for joining us. Skinny, we'll see you next time. Stay safe up there in Tennessee.
All right, man. I'll see you in September.
Yep. Looking forward to it. We'll be up there.
All right. Peace out.
Shut down.